Hey, what's up guys? JR here from 570 Kayak Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about my personal 5 favorite baits on the Susquehanna River for smallmouth. Now this is my personal 5 favorite. It's what I used a lot last year, and a couple of these baits won me tournaments last year, so I'm just going to give you the basics on what they are and where I'm throwing them usually, and we'll go from there. So number 5 on the list is this guy right here, square bill crankbait. It doesn't have to be this one exact. This is a Rapala BX Brat, and it's 3-foot dives 3 foot. It says, depends on how you run it, but any good square bill crankbait, a dark color like this works great, and this is in a craw color, but this bait right here works great. Now where I'm throwing this bait is usually in a little bit deeper water. Where I fish the Susquehanna, it's very shallow. I fish in anywhere from 6 inches to 3 foot usually, but I do get into some of those rock ledges that dive off to your 4 to 5, even up to 10 feet sometimes. Now these rock ledges run adjacent to the flow of the Susquehanna where I fish, and it's usually just a good rock ledge, and then it dives off, and then it gets shallower, and then there's another rock ledge, dives off, gets shallower as you go down. And a lot of these rocks are out of the water, a lot of them are submerged, but I'm going to throw this right in those holes behind the rock ledges, any kind of little bit deeper water. And I'm going to throw this any time of year, guys, from the springtime to basically all the way up to the late fall, and you will catch fish on this. So that's number 5. Let's see here, what do we want to do for number 4? Number 4, I'm going to get this guy right here. So let me get one of these out. This is a scented jerk shad. This is a 7-inch in the pearl color by Zman. It's the Elazitech. They don't come off. They might come loose, and you might have to rehook them, but these don't break usually. It's amazing. You can tell that's the elastic, and they stink, and now my fingers stink. Either way, and I'm gonna hook this guy on the chin lock hook. I think this is a 3-aught. I'll use a 4-aught sometimes with these 7-inchers. And I'm going to hook that right like that. And what I'm going to do what I'm going to do with it, right where I was just talking about in those rock ledges, that's the way it stinks, I'm going to throw this right in that back eddy behind a rock, and I'm going to dead stick it. I'm just going to cast it in there, and all that thing is going to do is drop down to the bottom and sit right either in the current seam or just sit on the bottom in that little bit of current. And these fish, you have to watch your line, and you might want to be using a spinning setup for this with a medium rod and with a fast tip, even an extra fast tip, so you could feel that bump, or you could see your line start to move, and that's when you know to set the hook. Another way that I'm going to fish this, I learned this from Jeff Little. He's a big kayaker. He finds out a lot of stuff on the Susquehanna. He's a great guy. Look him up. I'll throw this in shallow water, in the more or less in the heat of topwater, summertime, August, July, June, the good topwater bite, and I'll throw this out there, and I'm going to reel it almost as fast as I can, skip it across the top of the water back to the kayak. These fish are so aggressive, they blow up on it. And a lot of times they miss the hook. When they blow up on it, stop and just let it sink to the bottom. And then watch your line or feel for a bump. They're going to come pick that up. What it's imitating is a fish flying across the top of the water, being chased. They hit it. When they hit it, stuns the bait, let it fall to the bottom. They're going to come pick it up. So that's a cool trick that I learned from Jeff Little. I used it a bit last year, but going into the fall, early fall, late summer, early fall is when I started really using these behind those rock pools in the back eddies and stuff like that, and it worked great. So that's number 4. Number 5, number 3. Number 3 would be the Jackhammer. Zman Jackhammer. This is by far the best chatterbait that I've ever used. I've tried other chatterbaits. They just don't seem to really tick like these guys do. And let me show you if I have one out of the package here. What I learned that makes these, hold on, is this one? No. Here's one. What I learned that makes these so good is when you run these through the water, that moves and ticks off that head back and forth. Other chatterbaits don't really have the same setup. Let's see if I can find another one here that doesn't have that same. It's like it's I don't have one here, but it's a little different where that head connects to the blade. It doesn't make that good tick on top of the head. I think that's a big key. I mostly use this color, Golden Shiner. They love the gold. These smallmouth love the gold in the river. And I will top that off with trailer with a Zman Scented Jerk Shad in the pearl color again. I will put that on there and I will run that. And the Scented Jerk Shad along with the Jackhammer chatterbait makes such a good commotion, if you will, in the water, and I think that's why it's so good. I'll throw this just about anywhere. Springtime, late fall, I'll throw this just about anywhere. And it's a good follow-up bait. If you're running topwater, it's a great follow-up bait, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. So number 2 favorite bait, second favorite bait, is spinnerbait. Doesn't have to be this particular brand. I've run a lot of different brands, but these War Eagles, double willow War Eagles, seem to run and track the best for me. A lot of other spinnerbaits will kind of, when you're retrieving, will kind of do one of these and sit up like that, and it depends what current you're in, but a lot of other brands seem to don't track right for me. This one does. This one is the best one that I've used so far, and it doesn't have to necessarily be this color. This is like a white underbelly with some chartreuse and a little blue on the top. I recommend at least one of the willow blades being gold. They like gold. Sometimes I change the back one out. That back one's silver. Sometimes I change that out to another, so I run double gold ones. But I'm going to follow this up again with a Scented Jerk Shad for a trailer. You don't always have to, but it seems to help. And the hookup ratio with this is great. Now where I'm throwing this is also just about anywhere. I'm hitting current seams with this bait. A lot of current seams, behind walks, pretty much anywhere, bridge, under bridges, around bridges, stuff like that. It's great. And where else I'll throw this is or another spot where I'll throw this is a lot of times right where a tributary comes in. It seems to work really nice. I mean, a lot of baits work really nice, but it seems to run really nice, and I catch a lot of fish around tributaries with this bait. Now, the time to use this is pretty much whenever. I think I said that, and I almost won biggest bass for the hour. I did the big bass power hour last year, and I caught a 18 3/4, just shy of 19 on the last hour, and I almost won $1,000 with this last year on that big bass power hour. But that being said, the number one best bait that I've used on the Susquehanna, and it's the most funnest, it's the funnest bait that I've ever used on the Susquehanna, is, you all know it, the Whopper plopper. Topwater is, you know, it's amazing. It's awesome. You get to see the blow ups. It's great. You get to see the fish follow. Now, I use the original River to Sea Whopper ploppers. I've used a couple other ones. Sometimes they just don't run right for me. I'm not going to mention any of those brand names, but it seems like the Whopper plopper runs the best for me. This color is good. This is the Blue Blood. The black is also a great color. I think it's called Loon. And then, if I could get this other one off, maybe not. Yes, the bone color. So those are the primary three colors that I run. I have them in both sizes, the 90, the 110. I'll run the 110. I'll run the 90 first a little bit, and if it's heating up, I'll switch to the 110. The bigger fish might eat the 110 a little bit more. You might not catch the smaller fish as much. They will miss this. It's topwater. They miss it, and if you just kind of hold out and not set the hook immediately, you got to feel the tension of the fish when you set the hook with these. If they just come up and hit it, a lot of times they miss it, and if you let it there, they will come back for it. It's pretty crazy. In my earlier videos in the past, you can check them out. There is a lot of footage of them hitting these 3, sometimes 4 times before I actually get the hook up, and I talk a lot about it in those videos. So why is it so good? I'm not sure, but a lot of people talk, and I'll go through this shortly, but a lot of people talk about smallmouth fish on the Susquehanna being very visual to the air. They're always looking up because the predators, birds, hawks, eagles, they're all over the river. They're always looking up. When you cast this and this falls onto the water, I've already had fish waking over to this bait while it was still in the air. They're very visual, and as soon as this lands, you better be ready. You better have no slack in your line or anything, because they'll hit this as soon as it hits the water. Now, I was saying before about follow-ups. The Jackhammer chatterbait is a great follow-up for when they miss this and you need a quick plastic or the Jackhammer to get in there. I'll throw the scented jerk shad on the chinlock hook as a good follow-up, but you should always run a follow-up bait, have a rod nearby with a follow-up on it when they miss this, because it happens a lot. I won the Goldsboro tournament with this exact lure. Not necessarily it's all they wanted, but it was pretty much what location of the river the fish were holding out on, and I caught every single fish except one on this, and the one that I caught on the Jackhammer was a follow-up because they missed this, and that was a 19 3/4 inch fish. I ended up winning that tournament with 97 inches out of 5 fish, and it was probably the best I will ever do for a long time. But it's such a fun bait. You get to see the blow-ups. I strongly recommend tying one of these on. in mid to late June, all the way up to, sometimes I've caught them in early October, depending on the water temperature with these. But it's that's the time of year. It's the, you know, top water time of year to run these. And I've run them just about everywhere, very shallow to deep behind rocks. And I've run them all day, guys. So the biggest misconception sometimes with top water is it's only a morning bite or an afternoon bite. That is true. I do sometimes do better in the early morning or in the late afternoon with top water, but I've run these all day long, middle of July, 98 degrees out, sun's out, and I've caught them all day long on this. So that's it for the 5 top lures. Make sure you check out a couple of my other videos when I'm using these baits. It's pretty good, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Next video hopefully is me fishing. It's a little cold here yet, but those are my personal top 5 baits for the Susquehanna. No, I did not mention Ned rigs. It's just not my style of fishing. I fish these tournaments. I'm a power fisherman. Ned rig is probably one of the best baits out there all around for smallmouth on the river. Personally, I just don't run it. I don't have nothing against it. Tried it a couple times. It's just not my style of fishing. So, all right, guys, until next time, like, subscribe. We appreciate it. Thanks. Peace out.